Oh man, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, let's get through these maneuvers in the roadway real quick. And we'll get started with our beautiful day right now. It is stunningly gorgeous. Now, for me, I like this kind of weather conditions. Hot, humid, sunny. It's just something special about it, you know. I'm waiting for one of my cameras to get up and go in just 1 second. And I'll smile and say good morning to you guys. Just stand by. Uno momento. All right, here we go. All right, guys, good morning. On this Wednesday, we are live here in Results One, just hanging out this morning. And what was supposed to be a pretty nasty morning with weather, looks like things had slowed down pretty dramatically and broke up a little bit. So what was supposed to happen really this morning, we had some spotty showers, don't get me wrong, but really going to start settling in later this afternoon. So be weather aware, be mindful of it. I've got my umbrella and my rain jacket just in case. And then, of course, this morning, reflective vest, all that fun stuff. But we're cruising out here this morning, hanging out on, where are we? Out in State Road 46, way out on the west side. Trooper Steve on patrol. And I'd seen something pop up online. I'd seen some pictures, and then I was cruising through some of the emails from a couple of months ago that I had not been able to get to. And I saw that this guy was complaining he got a ticket because he got pulled over by a trooper, and it wasn't even the trooper. He said he got pulled over by an aircraft. And I was like, yeah, there's more to that. So that's what I wanted to talk about. You've probably been cruising around the roads and seen a sign. Highways, I know I-75, I-4, 417, Turnpike, speed monitored by aircraft. And what exactly do they mean by that? Well, the Florida Highway Patrol actually has fixed-wing aircraft, and they're gorgeous, let me tell you. So they have a few of them staged throughout the state. We've got some cool photos of them, and they look pretty cool. They maintained by the Florida Highway Patrol, and the pilots that operate these are tactical flight officers. They are Florida Highway Patrol state troopers who are also licensed pilots. These men and women throughout the state have a passion for not only aviation, but law enforcement as well. And they're pretty much strategically placed. Now, FHP has had these for quite some time, guys. Back in the day, there was some helicopters and things like that, but this is such a vintage style of enforcement that works for us here in the state of Florida. Coming back out, you know, I got to do a lot of these enforcement efforts, and they're fun, but they get confusing for some people out on the roads because they're like, wait, how is this possible? What is this? You're telling me a plane saw me speeding and then now you're pulling me over? No way. Also, one of the hot spots here in Central Florida, I'm going to tell you guys, the biggest aircraft speed enforcement area here in Central Florida. I'm going to pause because I'm going to say it again. The biggest speed enforcement area done by aircraft here in our area is going to be westbound I-4 out by World Drive. If there is a place you do not want to speed, it is right there. So about 7 years ago, I got to show you up close and personal exactly really what these tactical flight officers do. I remember working on the road and listening to the trooper inform us what's going on. So we went up, and what you're looking at here, that's the fixed wing aircraft that monitors the roadway. That flight officer conducts a calculation, which obviously is speed equals distance divided by time, and then the device tells that officer the speed relayed down to the trooper on the ground. That trooper conducts the traffic stop. How it is measured is there are lines that are marked on the roadway. And then the calculation is taken from line to line. How long did it take you? The calculation is done. Your speed is given. The tactical flight officer maintains positive visual contact with the car, relays that information to the trooper on the ground. Like that graphic said, 5 different aircraft throughout the state. So pause and coming back out. Think about this. Think about this just for 1 second. We're definitely going to pause because we're coming up on some pedestrians here in the roadway, and we're going to let them cross right on. Always got to be aware, even when we're in results 1, guys. That's the biggest thing I want to harp about. I think a lot of people think like this thing is a giant machine and we're just driving out here crazy. Let me be crystal clear. This is probably one of the most advanced piece of news equipment that's being used locally. I literally control everything that we do and see right from here. Right from here. So these cameras are fixed. They're out of the way. It would be equivalent to listening to a podcast or changing the buttons on the radio station or something like that, or carrying a conversation with you on speakerphone. So still able to maintain it. If I can do it, heck, and I'm talking a mile a minute, you should be able to do it too. So let's recap briefly before we kind of talk about it again, because I want to get further into some things. So if you're joining us this morning, what are we talking about? We're talking about flying troopers. Troopers in the sky. No, so for years, the Florida Highway Patrol has had fixed wing aircraft that conducts speed enforcement throughout the state. And in these areas, I'm going to pull over so we can have a better conversation. Okay, so for years, they've had these aircraft all across the state. And a lot of people are like, man, so many other states have gone away from fixed wing aircraft and just use helicopters. But you got to remember, the Florida Highway Patrol is the Highway Patrol. They are a traffic focused agency. They're not a state law enforcement police kind of thing. They are state law enforcement officers, but they're not a state police, not fully functioning. You're not calling 911 and they're coming to your house for primary service. They're a highway patrol. So the fixed wing aircraft works for the Highway Patrol very, very well. And with them being staged throughout the state, they serve so many different purposes. Primarily, obviously, speed enforcement, but storm recovery, looking at natural disasters, monitoring drug enforcement, checking our borders, things like that. And we even saw during COVID-19 that the FHP aircraft was vital in getting some vaccines throughout the state. So the aircraft serve a huge purpose. But to answer the question, yes, they do conduct some heavy enforcement. And what you were watching there just a little while ago was them doing just that. So I want to break it down briefly. I got my notes here because I wanted to tell you exactly. So it's 1,320 feet from line to line that tactical flight officer up in the sky calculates. And then that calculation gives him or her the speed, and then they radio down on the ground. That video, we could play it, shows you just the whole process of how this works. It's a pretty intense operation if you think about it. That aircraft flying about 2,000-3,000 feet in the sky, monitoring traffic on the ground, relaying that information to troopers on the ground once a violation has been observed, and then maintaining visual contact until the trooper has physical contact. Basically affecting the traffic stop. The flight officer gives the information. Hey, this is how fast they were going. Okay. Trooper says, got it. Relays the information back up. And that's a wrap. Coming back out, when that traffic citation is written, on the traffic citation, it will say aircraft enforcement, the violation. That flight officer in the sky is going to give that trooper a time code, because if you don't think these guys are keeping by the book notes, you're so wrong. A lot of people do contest aircraft citations, but I've never seen one beat, ever. I've been a sworn law enforcement officer in the state of Florida since 2010. I've never seen an aircraft citation beat. So there is a method to their madness, and yes, they are patrolling the skies pretty heavy. So if you see the sign that says aircraft speed enforcement being conducted, you're in the zone. You'll never know if it's happening or not until it's too late. Why? Because you're not going to see the aircraft, and the troopers aren't waiting right there. I can promise you right now, they're waiting a few miles down the road. Okay? So if you find yourself pulled over for a situation like that, I'm going to talk to you as a civilian. It's going to be a hefty ticket. Most troopers do not use their personal discretion when writing that citation, because it's not their ticket. They're writing it for the eyes in the sky. So if you get pulled over for a 95 and like a 70, sometimes that citation could be, say, written down for only 9 over if you were being cut a break by the contact trooper. That trooper's not the contact trooper. The one in the sky is. So I would highly suggest you watch your speed in these areas, because you're going to get stuck with probably a $300-400 citation. Because that tactical flight officer in the sky, guess what? They're not writing chump tickets. Usually what they're trying to pull over, 20, 25 over, 30. You're thinking that zone that I gave you, I-4 World Drive, that little hot spot? That's a 55-mile-an-hour zone. And most of the people that the tactical flight officer in that area is telling to stop, 20 plus. So they're doing 75 miles an hour in that area. So watch your speed. Know that here in the state of Florida, it is true, it's happening. That guy just ran the red light. Okay, you do you, bro. And they're watching, period. So don't be a fool. And if you run from them, understand that is an airplane. It's going to follow you. All right, guys, drive safe. Have a great day. Be weather aware. Rain's coming this afternoon. Have your umbrella handy. Text a friend. Let them know. Be safe this afternoon. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.